Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. Join Reiki Master and Quantum Healing expert Wes Coons as he guides listeners through the depths of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment to uncover the version of you we haven't met yet. Hello and welcome back to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. Thank you for joining us today, Wes. Season 2 is just shaping up to be amazing. So many special things. What special thing do we have for listeners today?
Andrea, thank you so much for being here. You know, we've got the best listeners in the world because we are worldwide, right?
Yeah, what is it? 10 countries and counting.
10 countries. We just picked up Poland. So thank you. We really appreciate that. Lakota One Heart is in town. We just recorded a special message that by the time this comes out, you've already had the special message. And we get to ask Lakota some questions that I don't know the answer to. So I'm excited about that.
Yes, I love when we get to do the Q&As. It's always like my favorite part of the show.
So Lakota, how are you today?
I'm doing really good.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. And Lakota, so what we like to do is when I'm asking Wes questions, I don't tell him what the questions are in advance. So we're going to do the same thing for you.
Not a problem. Ad lib I will be.
All right, so the first question we have is, what was your first impression when you first connected to Wes on the phone?
When I first connected to Wes on the phone, he called and stated that he wanted to come to the mountain. And Jackie had introduced me about him, so I said, come on. And I knew he was supposed to come. I felt it from the depth of my soul that the mountain would connect to his soul. And I knew he was having difficulty, and I would help him the best that I can, and that's what my job was to do. And I work for Creator. Nobody else but Creator. And I work for myself to have my heart to stay pure as best as I can as I grow into my abundant self. And I want everybody else to grow as well. And that's how I met Wes.
Thank you. That was, the first time I called and talked to you, I was in my Jeep and just had finished working with Jackie on some things, and you had said something to me on the phone that you could hear my rattle or something of that nature. What was that? What were you talking about?
That was a rattling of a soul, screaming and rattling itself like in a tin can, trying to get the voice heard of what the real truth was, where it could find stability and not be rattling anymore out of fear, out of anger, out of neglect, out of pain, out of suffering. And that's what I felt.
So there's that. I don't know. Yeah, I just remember I was in trouble. So thank you for inviting me to your home.
I'm very grateful that you came, Wes Coons. You're my Hunka brother, Hunkapi. In another lifetime, I saw us. And you were my baby brother, 15 years younger than me. And I was a warrior then. I'm a spiritual warrior in this lifetime. But then we made some history together on our continent to help our continent grow. And I knew the future, that I would see you again. I've been waiting to see you. And I'm so grateful that you came. You're my brother, Hunkapi.
Well, I love you too. And a question just came to me that we didn't have written down, and I want to ask. Ty and I came back from the mountain one time, and I had picked him up from where he lived, and this giant hawk jumped out of the tree and was basically flapping his wings, hovering right above the car. What was that?
Your name before was Shaitan Luta Chikala, Little Red-tailed Hawk. And that's you were my little brother, Little Hawk. And we did great things together in that lifetime. Great things, marvelous stories. And we were both strong warriors. And we lived for our tribe. We lived for our family. And it was a hard time on this continent. And it was a great, great churning of all the races coming together, this land, this continent becoming what she was prophesied to be. Turtle Island was prophesied to be the medicine wheel for the whole planet. The red, yellow, black, and the white, the cross of life, the circle of all creation. And here we had the convergence of the dominant culture, the races coming. And we were enemies then. Now we are not. We're being reborn again to enlighten this planet to the truth of this story on Turtle Island.
This is why I love these Q&A sessions. That is so fascinating and beautiful. I love it. And Lakota, in season 2, episode 1 of Enlightenment Unknown, Wes mentioned an energy field around your property when he came up. So can you tell our listeners a little bit more about what that energy field is?
That energy is nothing but sincere prayer and the land calling us back home to her simplicity again. To not to abuse her, not to use her, and not to take her resources as if they are nothing to her. Her trees are her hair, the water, the running creeks, her veins, the ocean, her blood, her heartbeat. Earth Mother herself called me to that mountain long ago, and I had the vision of her in my Sundance when I went into cardiac arrest at and in New Mexico. And when I came to, if a chief bring me back into consciousness, I had that vision, and I knew I had to find this land. And so back in Chesapeake, Virginia, on 1021 Shillelagh Road, I told that vision to my husband at the time, and I waited for it to manifest. And it didn't for quite a few years. And then when he up and left, my Hunkapi sister, Darla, who's also Lakota, and her husband I married, because I'm a minister, wanted to drag me out of the house to meet this guy. And his name was Charles Matney Jr., Junior Ray. And I had to meet him because they're going to drag me out, so I made a friend come with me that was my roommate to save my farm, because everything was taken by my ex. Everything, all our accounts, nothing was left in the farm for me. And I had to start all over again at the very base of everything, with bills and mortgages and everything. And I managed, because I trusted in Creator in this process. I always do. I give it all to Creator to take care of this. And I have to find a way. So I met this man. And he started talking about the mountains. Well, I grew up in the mountains, so we had something good to talk about. And then he invited me to go to meet his mother in the mountains. And so I decided to go. I had my farm covered by my friends and take care of the critters that I have. And I went. And when we were in Southwest Virginia, there was a signed farm for sale. I knew I was looking for this land that was in the vision. And I told Charlie, stop. I want to look. His sister was with us. And we got out, drove up this road, met the Pendletons, got the phone number, made an appointment with them, and they got us in this old power wagon that could go up this mountain road where there's bumps and no road. And me and Mrs. Pendleton were in the very back of the bed of the truck, bouncing along, and I saw the boulders of, most important, the 4 buffaloes. Then the boulder of Tonwan, God's eye. And the base of that, a heart. And embedded in this boulder, the cross, the God's eye. I thought, this is the land. I've got to get this. And yet, I have no money. I'm 3 months behind on my mortgage, but I got one mortgage payment to catch up. I'm giving her this money, and I did. I trusted Creator in the process. I gave her my mortgage money. Now I'm 4 months behind, and Charlie was fussing at me, and his sister fussing at me, telling me, I'm going to lose both. But I said, no, I don't think so. This is the vision. Why would God do this? I have to trust God. So I went back east. I had more work in the next month and a half to cover everything, including the late mortgages. Oh my goodness. It was forming into form, the vision that I went into cardiac arrest for. In New Mexico, in July, over 100 degrees and daylight, nice and cool at night, dancing without food or water. That was the visionary process for me to connect to this land again. And I found this land, and I dedicated this land to nothing but prayer and ceremony again, because she was that before. That was her place, long, long ago, when the Cherokees were there. And the beginning of this continent with the two main cultures, the natives and the dominant culture, the white race, coming together. And they had the black race here and the yellow race here. So it was the medicine wheel forming. And that land holds the medicine of the medicine wheel. And that's what you feel. That's what you come up into. And that is the barrier that you come into, because you have to drop all your prejudices, all your substandard ideas of what you are and who you are. We are all nothing but God's children. We come from the race of humanity. We're one-hearted people again, and that's what this land dedicates itself to help us all grow, to become the one-hearted people. Shetan luta oyateki a ito wampo. That is the red-tailed hawk to look upon me. Lilo akamoshte in a good and holy way. And that's my little brother, Red-tail. Aho.
Thank you. You know, I've heard that story many times, and something that just resonates with me is you know, God basically gave you a vision. God gave you what that mountain's supposed to look like, and you took blind faith, and you know, God provided for you when in natural time, in our world, things shouldn't add up. But you know, in God's world, it doesn't add up that way, because He is the control. He's God. And so what I would want you to pick up and understand, if you're listening to this, is when you follow your heart, when you follow God's plan, you know, you can't lose anything that's given to you by divine right. So if there's somebody in your life that doesn't like that you're following that plan and they go away, they were only supposed to be there for a season. However, if they're there and as you're given divine right to have that person or whatever is there, it will be there with you. Doors will close that need to close, and doors will open for you to step into the person that you're supposed to be. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right, Lakota?
Absolutely. To walk in power is to walk into God's plan for you and your plan with God. God does give you choice. We are all but choice in this world and in this environment and modality that we live in, no matter where we are, who we are, what we do, what we don't do. We are choice, and I choose to align myself with the power source of all creation, creator above and creator within. And I know that is the true power. Nobody could ever deviate me from that path. I've known it since I was 4 years old. Aho.
Andrea, what do we have next? We have any other questions?
Wow, thank you, Lakota, and thank you, Wes, for highlighting that message. It's so beautiful and powerful. The next thing I want to talk about is, Wes talks a lot about spending time on the mountain. You were really struggling, Wes, for a while, and you said at one point that you thought you were going to have to stay that way forever. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we were up at the mountain, and I was just frustrated. I don't remember the exact conversation, but we were setting up on Lakota's Bistro, this area where it's a community area where the community has meals together and we have conversation. And I was really down in the dumps, and I was sitting next to her, and I said, well, I guess I'm just going to have to live like this the rest of my life. And as we talked about in the show, those things were crawling on me. And the second I let my vibration lower to that point, that I let myself become weak, they just instantly doubled and tripled, were crawling all over me worse than they ever had before. And Lakota looks at me and she said, no, you don't. And she pokes me hard as shit with her little finger, and everything just stopped. So what was that? I mean, how did that happen?
I saw the negativity. And I didn't see it as creepy crawlies on you. I saw it more like an energy of little dark shadows just pinching you and all up and down your aoric sheath. And I decided, no, we're not letting him go there. This mountain's not about this. This mountain's about hope and love and light. And that's what I'm going to poke through there into him again. And he took it. Wes took it. And he grew from it. And he's growing into his abundant self because of it. And the creepy crawlies no longer crawl. And those are the negativity of the dark forces in our world right now. There's much. And the only way to push that darkness out is to embrace the love and the light of Creator. And remember this, you breathe in the light, you hold that light, and you breathe out any darkness that you hold as a negativity and a negative thought. And you gift yourself that breath of enlightenment, because we come from the very first breath of Creator, and that is light. It's breath, and then it's matter. So we co-create, that's the matter. And then movement, it becomes because of our belief systems. May we believe in this love. May we believe in this light. May we walk the beauty path again because of our belief systems, shifting beyond dogma, beyond confinement, beyond fear. God is not of fear. I have never felt afraid in the presence and the love of God. And I've been in some pretty precarious places in my life. And I've walked through it all with that love. Aho.
Yeah, it sounds like at a basic level, I remember being in that position, and everybody in the group was constantly telling me, watch your words, watch your words, watch what you say, watch what you think, watch what you do. And I remember just saying, fuck you guys, fuck you, just fuck you is all I wanted to say. And I probably did say that a few times. I didn't comprehend the power of our word. I didn't comprehend how magical our thoughts, our feelings, our word, our activities, how everything is. I mean, right now, the life that you live, you are a master at manifesting. You've manifested what you have right now. Now, if your life is fucked up, you manifested that. If your life is really, really great, you manifested that. And I was manifesting, giving them more and more power with the weakness and the word that I carried, because I was so broken, I was so disconnected, and I was just so miserable. And I'm curious what it would look like if I could go back now, understanding what I know today, how that would shift. But I guess I'm not going to do that. I'm not pressing that button. So we'll see what happens as we move forward. Right, Andrea?
Yeah, and I love that you really tie this to your words having power, because, a lot of times Wes will talk about on the podcast, we're talking about his journey, but these lessons transcend him, right? It's a lesson for all of us. So thank you, Wes. And I do want to get back to those creepy crawlies, though, and the medicine wheel. So in one of the episodes, Wes, you mentioned that you did not feel them crawling on you when you were inside the medicine wheel. So it's kind of a two-parter. It's why. And Lakota, can you tell our listeners who are not familiar exactly what a medicine wheel is?
Absolutely. It's the very first medicine that I experienced when I was 12 years old. My ancestors woke me up probably around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at Mommy Audrey's, my foster mama's home. And they told me to go to Mount Haystack. And so I said, Mommy Audrey and Daddy are not going to let me. I have to go down the staircase through their bedroom. They're still sleeping. And if they wake up, they're going to be mad at me, and I can't do it. And they said, you can do it, but it's your choice if you don't. And I thought, as I laid there in bed, I'd rock, because I'm a rocker. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go. So I snuck down through the staircase, snuck through their room, went into the kitchen, took 2 molasses cookies and 1 biscuit, stuck them in my hoodie project, put on my little PF flyers, and out the door I went. My first obstacle was a river. I don't swim. I sink like a rock. And so I thought, oh, I can't swim across this river. And they popped in, my ancestors said, hey, train trestle 4 miles down. Go there, across there. I went for about 4 or 5 miles. It felt like 100 miles. But I went across, got across the other side, climbed a tree, saw the mountain, kept on going. I kept on doing this over and over and over again. Climb a tree when I felt lost because I had no compass. I already ate the cookies, I already ate the biscuit. Starving because I was a kid. And you know how we only think of food and fun. That's it when we're kids. And the trees kept guiding me. And then all of a sudden, I heard this crashing through the woods. And this beautiful she-moose heifer comes crashing through. I scurry up a tree because I know she can stomp me to death. I know quite well what they're capable of doing, a wild moose. And so I stayed up on the tree, and she's going, ah, ah, down below me. When she left one direction, I went the other. Reorientated myself on another tree where Mount Haystack was and kept on going. So I come later on in that evening of that day to a giant circle of stones, and my ancestors were there. And they asked me to meet each stone. Now, I've gathered stones since I was a baby, sticking them all in my pockets, got in trouble messing up washing machines and dryers and stuff, but I love stones. I hear them sing. And so in that giant circle of boulders and stones, I could hear the singing. And in it, no black flies ate me, mosquitoes stopped feeding on me, and my two ancestors had a turtle shell bowl filled with soup for me. I ate the soup. I went to every stone and met each stone, heard the stone song, and felt the peace of God's love that I've never felt to that depth before till then. As a 12-year-old, I had my bat mitzvah. I'm not even Jewish, but I had that. I had a complete recapitulation of my soul to God and alignment, and I felt that in that wheel and the stone singing me, and I heard the first stone song there. So then when I came back to, I fell asleep on the ground leaning up against the stone. The turtle shell was beside me, and there was residue of that soup in there. And so I knew they were real, but what was going on was real. But I had to go to Mount Haystack. That's what I was told to do. So I climbed another tree, reorientated, I kept on going. I only remember one day, one night. I was gone 3 days, 2 nights. My parents flew up from Virginia to find me, to help find me. I got in big trouble with everybody, all my aunts and uncles, everybody. So I explained to them what happened. And I told them what had happened. And I was told that circle was called a midday wheel. And that's a place of medicine of our ancestors used to come to. And they would receive healings in there. And that the stones would sing them well. Sing them into harmony again with creation story. Because Earth Mother was first stone. That was the first medicine on this planet. Before life lived and died, 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 and lived and died, and still lives and dies, and creates the dirt and life again, rejuvenating itself through the death into life again. That's a medicine wheel with her stone song singing. I've been doing those wheels since the age of 12, setting up stones. I was told by my ancestors I cannot buy a stone. I cannot pick up a stone. It has to come to me. So all the stones I have come to me as gifts. And therefore they sing most pure. It's not about buying the biggest crystal or having the biggest, prettiest stone. They will come to you just as they are, singing you, if you carry the stone medicine. And that's what I've been doing, wheels, since the age of 12. 25 years later, at the dojo where I was teaching a karate class to a little fella who tore off his gi arms, and I fussed at him, made him do push-ups and jumping jacks. And I thought his mother went the next day when I was teaching class again, he was in class, that she was going to fuss at me over that. She said she wanted to speak to me. And she said she had a dream, and in the dream I could help her and her daughter, Sarah. And what Sandy stated was Sarah has to be woken up every 2 hours throughout the night. They've been doing this for months. They're exhausted, but they're afraid she might slip into a coma and die from juvenile diabetes. And what blurted out of my mouth, I help you with a stone. I'll do a medicine wheel. And that's what I did. A week later, Sandy calls me, tells me Sarah's sugar's been level all week. 2 weeks after that, the same story. And so I realized this is medicine for our planet to heal again. I will do these things as Creator intends for me to do. So I set up the medicine wheels, and I do my stone songs, and I sing it, and people get better. And it's between them and God, and the stones has nothing to do with me. It's the energy field, a frequency that the stones bring in by their songs, and me helping with my songs that I've heard between the realms to bring into form this day and age, again, this ancient medicine. And that's what a medicine wheel is. It's the ancient medicine, the modalities that indigenous people from around the whole world did long ago. And I guess they woke it up in me. Maybe I was one of the people who did it back then, and I can do it again. So it's not lost. Oh.
Thank you for that. I've heard that story so many times, and I think it's just beautiful. I couldn't imagine waking up and my kid being gone for 3 days. It would be a bad day when I found him after I hugged him, you know what I mean? So why did, when I was in the wheel, because I remember sitting in that medicine wheel on your mountain, nothing could crawl on me, but I could see them altering the clouds to make these demonic faces. And I don't know if anybody else seen that, but I guess is the reason they couldn't touch me is because that space is so sacred, it's so holy.
It's more than holy. It's God's eye. It's God's eye. The Medi wheels are God's eye with the stones singing the first creation song for us to come into the vibration and the tone and that frequency of first song, Earth Mother singing to God, gratitudes for her life and her living ability and life to continue. And so, no, nothing negative can get into that field because it's all God's eye upon us.
So I have to ask, I mean, this has been a really hard process for me. That haunted house, I feel like it took everything. I feel like it ripped me to pieces and left me broken. I mean, why me? You know, why did I go through that? Why am I doing, being called to do the things that I'm doing now? It seems overwhelming and confusing a lot of the times. And I don't understand. I mean, I'm grateful for it because I've learned so many things. I've learned how to love myself, but I mean, this has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I've done some very, very hard things in the past, and I still find it awkward to maneuver in this thing called real life, and sometimes just breathing is a struggle, but I just don't understand why me. Why did this happen?
Before we're born, Wes, we already have our plan. And it's our life plan. It's our life. Basically, it's like a map of our beginning of creation formed from way, way back in other lifetimes till now. And from the very beginning, you have always been challenged because you challenge God yourself. And you only get it back to you 100-fold. So get used to this, because this is what you do, my brother. This is what you do. And I'm going to tell you a secret. God knows your real heart and that big, beautiful heart that beats so big for everybody. Everybody. And that loving heart that you have, despite the little barbs that you throw and jokes that you throw out and cynicism that you throw out. God knows that beating, beautiful heart of yours and remembers you, even in the time of Jesus when you walked beside Jesus. Oh.
Thank you, Lakota. Thank you, Lakota. Andrea.
All right, so let's talk about something I think is really interesting. Wes is the only person I know that will casually just drop that there was a dragon and just keep on moving, right? Like, oh, then there was a dragon and then blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, skirt, move it back. What do you mean dragon? So, Lakota, Wes has mentioned dragons. Where are these dragons? Are they real? Are they on your mountain? What's going on?
They absolutely are real. Long, long ago, humankind around the world had a working relationship with these beings. And it was a beautiful working relationship. And then man became stupid as we are now at warring and trained our baby dragons to fight on our side against other dragons. And the dragon elders back then decided, no. We're not going to do that for you anymore. We're hurting each other, and we know better. You've got to grow into your abundant selves. You wore too much. You wore too much. It's sadness about you. It is just a sadness about you as your race is. You must grow into your abundant hearts. We're going to vibrate out of your frequency for now, and we will come back in the future. On my mountain, when I awakened it to prayer and ceremony and dedicated the mountain with my only money to pay my mortgage again and get that land, another payment, and still be behind a little bit. My two dogs, Moose and Dakota Rose, started barking at the sky as I was coming down after I did the dedication and decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to get this land. And they're barking at the sky, tails tucked, and it's a howling bark, a screaming bark, a drooling bark, and they're scared. Now, these are my Newfoundlanders. They're not scared of too much up there. They're big dogs. I was like, oh my, what is going on? I looked around. I opened up my senses to feel any prickle of hackles up, a little bit of hackles up, but not scared, not fearful. But the dogs were afraid. So I walked down 4 more paces with my walking stick so I didn't fall, and now they're barking worse. So I said, okay, I woke up something up here when I dedicated this land. What the hell did I wake up? So I said, all right, whoever you are, whomever you be, I need to see. I want to know, please guide me into the knowledge of who and what you are. And if I woke you up and you're upset about it, just too bad. I got the land. I'm going to dedicate it for prayer and ceremony the rest of my life and into future generations, because this is what I have to do, and this is what this land's about. So let me see you. All of a sudden, I was looking into some eyeballs that were as big as plates that you serve a whole turkey on. And they had a slit down the middle, and then a circle lid and a lid on from the bottom up. And so I looked up a little bit higher, and I saw, oh my God, a dinosaur dragon. And it was a dragon. And I asked this dragon, what happened between you and us? I remember you from lifetimes before. What did we do wrong? What did you do wrong? What happened? And they simply stated, they vibrated out of our consciousness and out of our reality because we stayed at war and warred them against each other, and they're not going to do that anymore. I said, oh my, what a great teaching for our planet. Why don't you reveal yourself around the world and wake these people up? They said, can't do it because they'll never see them unless you're of the vibration to see them. So let's climb into our higher vibrations of our hearts so we can see the dragons again, and they can see us and not run from our turmoil.
Well, you asked. There's your answer.
Well, thank you, Lakota. I love that answer. And Wes, I think with that, we're going to take a small break. And we have so many questions for Lakota. We could just go on and on. So what do you think about taking a small break and coming back in a little bit?
It'll be a small break for us. It'll probably be a week or so for you. And hey, Andrea, don't let me forget to tell you about the dead girl that jumped in my truck yesterday.
Do I want to hear it?
Yeah, it'll be fun. Oh, and by the way, Yuli, happy birthday today. She's a friend of the show. She's a friend of mine. And just want to wish you happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Yuli.
Happy birthday, Yuli.
You've been listening to Enlightenment Unknown with Wes Coons, your guide on the quest for self-discovery and the version of you we haven't met yet.